Hey folks, we're live today on the football field at Sharyland's Pioneer High School where, athletes still work out. Things still going on despite the heat that we've been dealing with today. We got here as the spring football practice is going on and check out these guys that were working out. And I think they were just happy to be playing football. They hardly noticed the heat, but when there was a water break, they were all quickly off to the water faucets and the tanks of water they had here, which is the important thing. You kind of have to think about this like July or August where it's just downright hot and it's going to continue to be for a few more days. And so with that in mind, you just have to stay hydrated. That's the most important thing, and get to the AC when you can get a break. Now, that's the view here. We've seen track athletes, we've seen soccer athletes, we've seen tennis athletes kind of working, getting their workouts in. But again, the main thing is if you're going to be out doing that kind of stuff on the trails of your favorite town tonight, make sure you take water with you because it's still going to be warm even into the evening. Now, today for Brownsville was significant. The high temperature in Brownsville today was 104 degrees. It's not unusual for McAllen to get to 104, or Rio Grande City, even Weslaco, but Brownsville, that's quite unusual. Well, that broke a record, not just for the date, but for the month. The old record was 102, set on this date, actually, in 1984, and today it made it to 104. So that is a record for the month of April. So Brownsville, if you live there, you can say, geez, I've never had it like this before. Odds are you haven't, not in the month of April. This was a scorcher and a record breaker of a day all across the valley, but in particular in the Brownsville area. Let's see what temperatures have done since those highs were set. We've come down a little bit. It's down to 94 now in Brownsville. It's 101 in McAllen. Still 102 in Rio Grande City. Port Isabel's 89. Last check on the island, I did see a reading there of 92 at about noon, and then temperatures cooled off when the wind shifted again and dropped back into the 80s. But even the island getting into the act briefly this afternoon. Now, the winds today have been out of the north as expected. A dry line basically coming through, bringing the drier air, the lower humidity in. It got gusty for a while, but once we dried this air out, temperatures really took off. And you see even now, winds are sustained at anywhere from 8 to about 16 miles an hour across the area, mainly out of the north. Brownsville kind of a northeasterly component, but primarily a north wind across most of the valley. That north wind has lowered the dew points. Look at our Muggy meter, and we're all the way down to 55, while yesterday at this time, dew points were in the 70s. So quite a drop in the humidity factor. So really, as hot as it is, it doesn't feel like July or August. We don't have that humidity in the air that we typically have in the summertime when it's this hot. Now, the next few days are still going to be warm, but tomorrow and Friday not as hot as today. Tomorrow we're looking at about 94 because with this drier air, temperatures will cool off a little bit more tonight and then only recover to 94 tomorrow. We're back to 98 on Friday. Still maybe a little bit of a southeasterly component in the wind, so Friday may not get quite as hot. I mean, still close to 100. Some places will go over 100. But then Saturday might be the hottest day of the week. Saturday could be hotter than today. That's one of those days when we might see readings in the far western part of the valley touching 110 or 112 in places like Rio Grande City, Roma, San Ysidro, places like that. Readings may be way over 100, and most of the valley will probably exceed the century mark on Saturday. It's just hot. Now, the rest of Texas, they're not enjoying the good stuff like we are. Look to the north. While it's 101 here, it's 87 in Austin and 62 in Dallas. What a contrast. Yes, there's a front, and that's the front that'll kind of sneak through tonight, allowing our temperatures to cool off just a little bit to go with this drier air, allowing tonight's temperatures to get a little bit cooler. Now, SatRad shows there's not a whole lot happening on that front in the middle of Texas. East Texas, yes. Headed into Louisiana, some showers and thunderstorms, but all of that's going to stay a long way away from the valley. We don't expect anything from that. Computer model shows what we do expect to happen, and you notice the front kind of sneaks through the valley late tonight, early tomorrow, and tries to cool the air off a little bit, but it doesn't last long. About as quickly as it goes to the south, it turns around, goes back to the north. There's a warm front, and I think by Friday you're looking at temperatures back up in the upper 90s, and by Saturday, temperatures over 100 once again. We often talk about it being the day before the front. Well, today's kind of the day before the front. Saturday will be the day before the front as well, because there's a front on the map on Saturday, so we're going to get hot again. But that front should come through late Saturday night, early Sunday. It will trigger big thunderstorms north of the valley. For us, probably not so much. If we see anything here, it would be quick, it would be brief. I really don't expect much in our area as we head into the weekend. If you're headed to the coast, then why not? Even though it touched 90 today, it'll be cooler tomorrow, about 81 in the morning. Easterly winds early. The UV is extreme. The rip current risk is moderate. The surf temperature at 77 degrees. Tomorrow afternoon readings in the 80s. About tomorrow evening, you're back in the 70s. There are the tides on the screen for you. You also see the bay temperature at 78. Small craft advisory in effect through tomorrow morning. So for tonight across the valley, skies stay mainly clear early with some patchy clouds coming in later on, a low of 67. Easterly winds later on. Then tomorrow, I think we see some sunshine, and it's hot, but not as hot as today. Your high temperature tomorrow up around 94 degrees. Southeasterly winds return across most of the area tomorrow. The next 7 days, we see a significant warm up, but then we cool it back off on Sunday, and then next week we still stay in the 90s after Sunday. It just looks like plenty of heat on tap. So just remember, if you're going to be outdoors doing football or whatever you may be doing, just hydrate. Take plenty of water, stay cool, take breaks, everything that you talk about in the summertime, do that. It's only April, but even for spring football, something you got to think about. You got to stay safe out there because you could dehydrate in this hot, dry weather very quickly. Live at Sharyland Pioneer High School, Tim Smith, Channel 5 News at 6.